Now, moving on to this, we were talking about this earlier, with history repeating itself. Right now, the past couple of years, and I don't know if we can really talk about this. We might get banned for just this topic alone. I can't lie. You've seen what happened with the corona situation and money. And right now, the US dollar, what's happening there?
So over the last couple of years, the U.S. dollar has gone on a printing spree, whereby half of the dollars that are currently in circulation were printed over the last 72 months.
That's a half the dollars that have ever existed.
Yeah, and the reason that this is an issue is because the devaluation of the currency is the next step in order to make sure that the United States crumbles. The reason the United States today has such a force when it comes to their opinion and why their opinion is regarded so highly, it's not because their opinion is right or because their opinion is the best. Is because if you don't listen to what they say, what happens? They sanction your money. They sanction your ability to do commerce. They fuck you up financially. So all these countries that are now part of BRICS, that are now moving away from their dependence of the dollar, are doing it for one single reason. They do not want the weaponization of finance, right? So you have India, you have China, you have Russia, you have South Africa, now you have Saudi Arabia. They're just putting the middle finger up to America and being like, all right, you don't let us do what we want to do, fuck it, we'll compete. So now what you're seeing with the US dollar is a lot of internal wars happening, a lot of these policies that are taking place. You can imagine, you can best believe that it's a lot of foreign powers involved in the decision making to destroy America from within. And like every other nation, like any other empire, they all have seasons, right? But if you look at the Roman Empire, brother, the season in which the Empire of Rome began to fall was the season when they began to print more coins with metal than with gold. Because back in the day, what they would do is they would have their gold coins and their silver coins, and that's what they were used for measurements. Yeah. But what would happen if there wasn't enough gold coming in circulation or not enough silver? They would dilute it with metal or iron ore. Oh. So they were diluting and causing what? Inflation.
And that's what's happening with the money. They're printing more and more.
Exactly. So they did the exact same thing. So as the resources became scarce, they introduced artificial inflation to what? Bring in more liquidity, but the liquidity was backed by nothing. So now the Roman Empire has these coins that are supposed to represent gold and silver, but are actually iron ore or metal. And as soon as that took place, the devaluation happened, Rome fell. So we're facing that stage. I don't know how long it goes. I don't know what that means because...
Do you think the dollar is going to crumble?
Yes and no. It's a tough conversation. It's a tough conversation because the United States is the military superpower of the world. They can bully their way to the top at any cost, and they're willing to do it. I mean, look at how they treated the entire situation with Gaddafi, right? Gaddafi wanted to introduce the gold dinar, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, his own currency, right?
And basically he wanted to create a Pan-African currency that was backed by gold, which meant that now the African countries would not have to be dependent on central banks for a currency. The United States comes in and says, hey, in the name of democracy and freedom, like, let me come in. And a few years later, that currency is not in circulation anymore. So once you start playing with the monetary supply and you start playing the finance game, it's quite the mafia. It's people are willing to cut heads for that.
Do you think this was like a planned attack from other nations?
Warfare is taking place at all times. There is a saying by Sun Tzu in The Art of War. He says, the art of war is the art of deception. He doesn't say it's the art of fighting. He says it's the art of deception. So if you want to conquer a nation, it's the easiest way to conquer a nation is without any casualties, both financial and in human capital and resource, because it's very expensive to rebuild those things. So what happens? Now you're in a situation where it's easier to deceive people from within and collapse something from within than to destroy it because it requires too many resources. What do you think people are actually going to be out here dropping nuclear bombs, dude? Like, come on, get woke. Nobody's going to be dropping nuclear bombs.
You don't think there'll be another world war?
Yes, but world wars are now played on the financial level, like sanctions.
Yeah.
They're played on the bio warfare zone.
Yeah.
They're played on the digital warfare zone. So it's no longer guns and bullets that are the only way to control the narrative of the world.